So, the basic question is, have you ever been scammed before? Or at least do you know someone who's been scammed before, or at least experienced something similar? You see, scammers usually send out fake emails of any kind of notification just to get your attention. This can be calls, this can be text messages, once again, just to grab your attention, which is crucial for their master plan. They can get really creative on how they do this, and you will just be left wondering if the scam was properly executed, on why you listened, and how your money just went capiche, goodbye, bella ciao. But these kinds of things do not easily happen because there are talented people on the internet as well. There are good guys and bad guys. So here you go. Here is the story of how these 7 people can shut down the internet worldwide. The first word that comes into everyone's mind when you think control of the internet is power hungry. I mean, what would you do if you had control of the internet? Would just ask. And as a normal person, you'd probably say, whenever I'm losing a game, I'm gonna disconnect my enemy. And yeah, that's what I'd probably do as well. We have already established that controlling the internet would be an easy task for them. And they are the people from the organization named ICANN. So what does this mean? Some would ask. Simply, it's the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. Simply put, the ICANN is a group of nerds that can usually say, wait a minute, let me stop the internet real quick. Kidding aside, the ICANN has handed out 7 keys to 7 individuals that are spread across the world. With those special keys, they have the ability to authorize a shutdown, reboot, reset, or do whatever the hell they want with the internet. Yeah, very powerful. That is the exact word that a lot of people think of. Now, in order to understand what are these keys and how do they work, let's start with the DNS. Yeah, the tech people out there starting to think DNS, oh I know this. This is the domain name system, which you're correct. Now, what the DNS basically is for us human beings means it's a phone book of the internet. We access information online through domain names, for example, facebook.com or youtube.com. Now, on the other hand, each device, your phone, your computer, your laptop, makes up the internet. That is identified through a unique long number-like pattern that is called an IP address. IP standing for Internet Protocol. For example, the IP address that hosts Facebook is 176.13.69.63. Now, you don't want to type those numbers every time you want to access Facebook, now am I right? It's tedious, think of it. You just want to go to YouTube or Facebook and you have to type in at least 9 numbers. It's not easy. So this is where DNS comes in. It eliminates the need for you to type in the IP addresses by translating domain names into the long line of numbers. So when you type facebook.com, your computer has to convert it into the right IP address. And in order to do that, it kind of asks a long line of things. We'll get to that. So step number 1, it asks your operating system. So it goes, hey, operating system, do you know this address? No? Okay. The OS now goes asking the next level, which is the recursive name server, RNS in short. Now, the RNS may or may not know what it is, but if the RNS doesn't know, it will now go to one of the 13 root servers in the world, sending the question up to top-level management, or as it's formally known, top-level domain server. In this case, this is the one that runs all the .coms, which sends you to the right server or the correct IP address. Now, after that, it will be like, oh, for Facebook, it's 176.13.69.63, and thus finishing the translation process. Now, I know that this was a lot to take into our brains, most of all for the non-techies out there, but I hope you understand what DNS does, and I promise you, we are getting to the special 7 keys. But before that, a very important thing that is included in the translation process is the inclusion of an administrator for the whole system. Basically, an administrator's job is to make sure that no one can hand the IP address incorrectly. and most importantly, to keep all of it secure and free of mistakes, for the hackers and scammers not to use it to their bad deeds. I mean, just think of it. You want to go to facebook.com, but instead it asks for your credit card and you actually do it. Yeah, not something we want. So ICANN's administrator is a system called DNS SEC. The system works by something called asymmetrical encryption that involves a private key and a public key, which are a long set of numbers that are linked mathematically. Aha! Now we are on the keys. The public key is a number that everyone can know. As the name suggests, it's public. The private key, on the other hand, is top secret because only one entity knows. And this, which makes it so important, is because with that key, you can write a digital signature over a document. This ensures that the information where it came from was legit and accurate and not some 13-year-old kid that wants to see your photos. In this way, ICANN authenticates DNS. Did everyone get it?
Nani?
No? Okay, let's go for an example. Let's say that there's information that says facebook.com, which is 176.13.69.63. So your computer will use Facebook's public access to look at the signature. And since 176.13.69.63 is signed by Facebook using their private key, your computer will be all like, looks legit, must be legit, and thus confirming that the information is accurate and secure. But if we are going to look at that setup, how are we going to know that Facebook's public key is even legit? Like they say, Facebook is just made by Illuminati, nothing's real. Nah, I'm just kidding. But as mentioned earlier, there is this top-level domain server that is running all the .coms using their private key. They are the authority that signs Facebook's public key, so when your computer uses their public key, it confirms the signature as legitimate and made by the .coms, in this case, the ICANN. But again, in order to know that the public key from the .com is legit, it should be signed by an even higher, and by I mean higher authority. This then leads us to the ICANN. Their single public and private keys are used to sign off and secure every available website's IP addresses currently in existence. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the private key that secures the DNS consists of a whole lot of numbers. These numbers are stored on what we call hardware secure modules, HSMs, which are basically just hard drives inside a physical box made to probably, withstand the end of the earth. And you may think that the identity of these 7 key holders would actually be confidential, but it's actually not. In fact, I can show you their names right now, and they are the following. Yeah, take your time to read on it. You can search Facebook, but guys, I promise you, you are not gonna find these guys that easily. I know, I tried. Now, these people are not world leaders, but they are actually security experts that are recruited by the ICANN. So if the DNS encounters any problems or needs to be maintained in any way, 5 of the 7 key holders will have to travel to the ICANN's facility. There's a whole process in opening the boxes where they do something called a key ceremony. Simply put, they use their keys to obtain ICANN's private keys that are inside the boxes. After acquiring those keys, they can pretty much do whatever they want, and that is how 7 people can shut down the internet worldwide. Alright, so be sure to subscribe and hit that bell button so you never have to wonder about your house ever again. Stay curious, and we hope to see you in the next video.